Great call. Joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics for this episode, because we are joined by defensive coordinator extraordinaire Lou Anarumo. This guy is regarded around the National Football League as one of those football savants. There's no question about it. He does know his football. And they've got some new players, some young players, particularly on the back end, and that is right in Lou Anarumo's wheelhouse. He is a great teacher of the game of football. And in the opener against the Cleveland Browns, he had some young players on the back end really step up for him. And some of the players that you'd think would play well did. You know, his linebackers, Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, all played very well. The rotation of players up front and the defensive line did an outstanding job as usual. So you get what high expectations on a week-to-week basis Lou Anarumo has for his players, and high expectations Bengals fans have for the job that Lou Anarumo does, and everybody always ends up happy. Thanks for joining us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. As always, we come to you from our outstanding studios. And as always, we have a guest that you will thoroughly enjoy, because this man knows his football. An X's and O's savant, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, the Cincinnati Bengals. And Coach, defense played winning football in my estimation. I mean, how pleased were you with the performance up there in Cleveland?
We did some good things for sure, as you mentioned. The turnovers that we got, the 3 sacks that we got, they were 4 of 14 on third down. The quarterback's rating was only 67. We faced 40 runs, so we've got to do it better. We did really good on 25 of the 40. They had 4 yards or less on those 25 runs, and 10 out of that 25 were 0 or less.
Wow.
But we did have some cutback issues. They got us on a third down run that got out on us, and we had another run before the half pinned into the boundary. We just over pursued and ended up to be a 20-yard run. And then they got us on the quarterback draw that scored a touchdown. That was a little bit on me with the call, but so we got some things to clean up. But we got no time to complain. We got to come back, and we got a great challenge this week with the Ravens.
Chubb is a very unusual running back for many reasons. I mean, he's got traits that are ridiculous, but the one thing that he has is this vision for the big bend cutback. I mean, he'll cut it back. He'll be running a stretch to the right and cut it back, to the cornerback on the other side of the football field. I mean, he's a big cutback guy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. And that one of those runs, that was a 10-yard run. We've got it sealed off really good. And, Cam Taylor-Britt is one of our better tackling corners in the league. And it got stretched so far away that he never thought it could get back that far. And it did, and he has to be there for that. But lesson learned. But, yeah, Nick Chubb is a great player.
You mentioned Cam Taylor-Britt. Coach, looks like you got yourself a player there. I mean, this guy is physical. I thought he showed up. I thought another young guy, DJ Turner, showed up. I thought your safeties, showed up. People were like, "Oh, what's going to happen at the safety position?" Give us your overall evaluation of the back end, which is your expertise.
Yeah, I think that you mentioned all the players that played and did well. I think I want to start with Chido. Chido was out there and played 40 some odd snaps for the first time since he left that field in October. So less than a year, he's out there competing at a high level, which is great for him, for us. So I start with him. I thought that, the young guys held their own for sure. There's a bunch of learning that we got from this game in terms of the safety play. While they were productive, for sure, there's things I still want to clean up. And I was happy with the way DJ Turner covered. So, we'll see more of that grouping as we go forward.
So up front, were you pleased with your rotation and who maybe played above a level that you expected, if anybody did?
I think that we were stout. They didn't move us very much.
Yeah.
It's hard. You look at the numbers and you'd be like, well, your D line probably didn't play so good if you gave up that many yards rushing. But I didn't come out of the game after watching the tape saying that anybody up front had a losing performance. Nor did the linebackers. Logan and Jermaine were very, very aggressive, active. Just all over the place. And so, I thought they all played well. I thought Zach Carter showed up. He played with great strength, and they could not move him. So, we got to clean up the cutback runs and some of the off-scheduled runs that accounted for almost 70 yards of stuff that we need to be better on.
So now you face the Baltimore Ravens. Yep, back-to-back weeks. You've got a quarterback that can throw it as well as do some damage with his feet and his legs. They're similar but different. I mean, their talents are I guess, similar but very different. I don't think. I mean, Lamar Jackson to me is almost like Gale Sayers with a throwing arm. But then on the style of play, big physical offensive line. They like to emphasize that running game. Is there an advantage to having some similarity, or is there so many differences? There's no advantage at all.
No, for sure. They're power football teams. Both teams. They want to have enough skill and plays that where they force you to defend the width and length of the field. But by the same time, if you pulled both coaches, I would say, they really enjoy turning around, handing the ball off, and trying to knock the crap out of you up front. I think that's just how they are, and we know that. So, unfortunately, they lost Dobbins. It was a really, really another really good back. But they've got quality guys behind them, and they've got a good old line. And there's no more that needs to be said about Lamar as a quarterback. He's a great player, and they've got weapons on the outside. I'm quite sure Mark Andrews is going to play. So, as always, we'll have our hands full.
When you are working against a new offensive coordinator for the first time, how difficult is that? I mean, is the process get as much tape from his prior experiences as possible and sift through it and see if there's any similarities or common threads, or can it be a task that's like, man, this is cumbersome?
Yeah, it's you go back and you look at where they were last, and college football is so different in so many regard, but in so many ways rather. But he's been around the league. He's coached at other places, so we've watched all that stuff, and we had a game to look at last week, so we'll base everything off that.
The fact that you came up with a couple of takeaways and 3 quarterback sacks against the Cleveland Browns, I mean, that's a good starting point, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. We want to keep that trend going for sure, and that's going to be generally when you go two takeaways. You're 2-0 there on the takeaway margin. +2 rather. So we'll just keep working at it to be that way every week, and we'll win our share of games for sure.
No question. Offensive lines, in terms of the Cleveland Browns, they've got a couple of Pro Bowl guards. They like to get the guards. Batonio's a great puller. Get him out in space on smaller people. I thought that your corners, though, in safety, they set tough edges. I mean, I thought they made it tough on those guards.
No, I agree. I mean, you got that one where Cam just comes up, and he did not shy away from 77 at all. So that's Cam in a nutshell. He's a like I said yesterday, he's a tough SOB. So
he is that. He is that. When you Wyatt Teller is a Pro Bowl guy and a no nonsense guy, and you end up coming out on top in that exchange. That's pretty good stuff, Coach. Huh?
It sure is.
That's good stuff. What about the Baltimore Ravens offensive line? How much respect do you get for that group, Coach?
Yeah, huge. I mean, they're again a power running football team. They've always been able to run the ball and tops in the league for years. Their offensive line coach is still in place, so they have all the schemes from years past and incorporating that into what they do now. And they're well coached. They're big. They're physical. Their backs are big and physical. Their tight ends are big and physical. So it's AFC North. Nothing new.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing new there. And they have a fullback, Patrick Ricard, 305-pounder. I don't know how much Monken's running the formation where he's got Ricard, in there with extra tight ends and an extra offensive lineman for a third tight end. And I mean, they looked huge. I mean, the field was tilting as that formation was coming out in the football field in the past. Yeah. I know it's only one game. It's not a huge sample size, but is he still loading the field up with big people like that?
Yeah, they'll do. They still have some of those type groupings, and you will definitely see number 42 on the field.
No question. Yeah, no question about that. So, what are the keys, Coach? I mean, what's the keys to success against an offense like the Baltimore Ravens?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. Where we've got to do a great job of managing the third downs, getting off the field. We've got to make sure that it's impossible to stop Lamar from doing what he does, but you got to contain him, make his numbers manageable, and just don't let him get that run game going, and then do a great job with the play actions off of it. And they've got some talented receivers. The young kid from Boston College, Flowers, is really explosive. I'll never sleep. I was with Odell for a year at the Giants, so I'll never sleep on him. He's a really still a phenomenal athlete and player. So, like I said, we will have our hands full. And by the way, whatever you want to say about Mark Andrews, but he's 1A in terms of tight ends in the league. He's a great player.
He is. I mean, there's really not much he can't do. I mean, when you start checking boxes as to what Mark Andrews can do, most of them are checked, aren't they, Coach?
Yes, 100%. He's tough in the run game. He can flex out and release as a number one wide receiver out as number one, and he can run over routes. He's great hands, tough after the catch. He's the whole package, that's for sure. And
John Harbaugh, a lot of respect for him. I mean, he understands the AFC North. There's no question about that. And with John Harbaugh, his special teams are always great. That was a big calling card of his, obviously. And so it's going to be another slobber knocker in the AFC North, Coach, right? I mean, there's no secret there.
No, that's how it is. And, that's how these games usually play out and, come right down to the wire. And hopefully we'll be the ones get the victory.
Coach, can't thank you enough. I know this is a big game plan day for you.
Yep.
For you to carve time for us and give us your thoughts on what transpired in the Cleveland game and a little preview as to what you're thinking against the Ravens means a lot, and appreciate it, sir.
Always, Lap. Thanks. And Houday, let's go get a win this weekend.
Let's go get it, Coach. You're the man.
All right, guys. See you.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.